You've got no idea what a joy it is to be back here, to be in this place, to feel the warmth of the Spirit, the embrace of the love that is in the walls and the very fabric of this building. It's very difficult at times living in a country where the only form of Christianity that seems to manifest itself is right-wing bigoted hatred. And I have worked my way around pretty well every church in Phnom Penh, trying to find a place where I would feel comfortable worshipping. And I tried the Baptists, well that didn't work really well, and then I tried the Anglicans, well they're part of the Singapore diocese which is connected to the Sydney diocese, so that didn't work out real well. I tried the Catholics and they were really lovely and friendly but as boring as all get up. And then I went to two of the sort of evangelical churches. Well, not much to be said about that, and I finally found one place called the International Christian Fellowship, which is a international church, not denomination in its own right, a bit like us. It's a free church, and it's made up of all the expats that come to Phnom Penh who hate all the other churches. And it was going along really well there for a while. I was looking after the sound in the morning service and then doing some Bible readings and things like that. And then they were without a pastor for a while. And they asked if anyone would be interested in helping out. So I, of course, this is lovely. Yeah? And I got a reply from the elders, oh, well, we're happy for you to do sound, but we don't think a person like you should be up front speaking to people. So that was the end of that. So you've got no idea how wonderful it is to be back home. Back in an MCC, and it's not just MCC Sydney, it's any MCC where you can walk in the door and you know straight away that this is a place where you can be you and where no one can tell you that your faith is wrong. And I know we've had Buddhists and Muslims and Christians and all sorts walk through these doors, and that's the feeling that you get when you come here. It's really great to be here, and thank you for your warm welcome. That's not the sermon. Sermon, 27 pages. Here we go. Everyone comfortable? You know, you almost didn't get a sermon. You know, I started thinking about this, and Gavin, wasn't I good? I gave you the sermon title at the beginning of the week, and the readings, and all that sort of stuff, and then I headed off to Mudgee, and Kim and I have just bought an investment property up there for our retirement, and you know, I've got a great boyfriend. When he moved out of his house, he was in Phnom Penh, and I had to lug all the furniture down 3 flights of stairs. When we then moved out of my house, he was in Phnom Penh, and I had to lug all the furniture to storage. And now that we've got another house, I have to do all the painting and renovation, and he is in Phnom Penh. Is there something wrong with this story? I keep asking myself, but I love him dearly, so he can do it. But on the way, you know, I was thinking and dreaming about the reading, and this is a tough reading. And I was here last week, and Gavin shared that other really tough reading about the communion, and about the whole concept that some people blame us of being cannibals, about this eating the body and drinking the blood. And this is another really tough one, and I was thinking about it during the day as I was driving up. And then all of a sudden the car in front of me ran off the road at 110 kilometres an hour that we were doing, straight off into a ditch and into a tree. Just like, you know, things happen in front of you, just bang. And I stopped and the car behind me stopped, and we went over, and there was 2 people in the car. There was a lady about my age and a young girl. And by the time we got to the car, it was very obvious that the lady driving was dead. And the young girl was quite badly hurt. And we were lucky we had mobile phone coverage. Telstra does do some things right. We were 40k out of Mudgee, and it took like 35 minutes for the ambulance and police to get there. And somehow thinking about a sermon after all of that kind of drifted to other places. And I found myself thinking about the very vulnerability of life and what it is that we're seeking in our lives, and why is it that we put off and put off and put off, and we argue and we bicker on the way, when just like that, it could be over. Just like that. Not only could we be gone, but those who love us could be left with tragedy and heartache. Let's have a look at today's gospel and see how that maybe speaks to us in that sort of mindset. This is a kind of a culmination of readings that you've been following in the lectionary from John's Gospel, and I love John's Gospel because it really challenges you. It really gets in there, and Jesus really challenges the disciples in particular. And over again, he said, if you're going to follow me, you're going to have to take on the tough times. If you're going to follow me, you're going to have to believe what I say. And if you don't want to follow me, go away. And that's kind of what's happening here today. This is sort of, we're by the shores of the Lake of Galilee. Everyone's discouraged. Because we're getting into Jesus' ministry, and it's becoming clear that he's not going to overthrow the Romans. It's becoming clear that his teachings aren't about war and vengeance and defeat. And it's becoming clearer and clearer that he's talking about a new way of living that is so foreign to many people, but not only that it threatens the very existence of many people and the comfy little lives that they've built up. So many people by this time are starting to get discouraged, and they're sort of saying, oh, we don't really like this stuff. And there's rumours going around town about what's really happening with this crazy little bunch of people. And Gavin addressed some of those ideas last week with the idea about cannibalism and that sort of thing. So everyone's discouraged. The crowds, the followers, just the mob, have kind of started to turn their back on Jesus. They've started to drift away. And everyone is confused and probably, I think, a bit over this whole Messiah thing. This Messiah, what sort of Messiah have we got? Look at him. He doesn't carry a spear or a club or a shield, and he just dresses like the rest of us and looks much like the rest of us. He has dirty feet in the dirt like the rest of us. He has times when even he has doubts. Who is this Messiah? What is this Messiah thing? I think people were saying, forget it. It's all too hard. It's all too hard. And so Jesus, and I just love the way sometimes the turn of phrase. And Jesus says to the disciples, who are obviously also pretty discouraged, he says, well, do you also want to go? You had enough? Have you had enough? Go on. In effect, go on, off you go. If enough's enough, you can go too. Let's just put it right out there in front. You don't like it. The teachings are hard. If you're stupid, you don't want to listen. Or if it's threatening your way of being. And Peter, we all know Peter. Peter's the cock crowed 3 times, Peter. Peter was the one who walked on water and then fell in. Didn't quite make it to Jesus. All the stories of Peter. Peter, I can so relate to Peter. He so much wanted to have all that faith, and he so often blew it. And so often just made it all look so wrong. But Peter looks to Jesus and says, but Lord, to whom can we go? You are the one with the words of eternal life, and when we have believed, and now know for ourselves that you are God's Holy One. I think there might have been another little thing going on for Peter here as well. That's a beautiful response.